If I said to you, Michael van Gerwen, 180 on the Oki, I think you know what I'm on about. Retriever Sports in Slough. Peter, tell us a little bit about the company, please.
Yeah, Retriever Sports, a family-run business, started back in the early 70s, grown quite substantially over the 30-odd years that we've been going. Yeah, it's a good family business, and all we produce is darts.
Okay, and one of the world's leading manufacturers?
We're one of the top ones. There are others that are around, but we are the only company that produce solely in the UK. A lot of our competitors produce overseas for various reasons, but we're true to the producing in the UK.
So great manufacturing in the UK. Now, I just want to have a quick chat about some of the components you manufacture. You've got some here in your hands.
Yeah, so we have a tungsten barrel, which is what most people would see down at the local pubs on a Friday and Saturday night. This is the main body. You've then got a shaft that screws into that the flight sits into.
That's actually three components itself, the little shaft there.
Yeah,
right?
this one here is just one of many that we do. Yeah. So you've got two aluminium components and a wire bit that is a press fit that just joins the two together. Personal preference.
And the brass component?
The brass component is slightly different. This is what we call a soft tip dart. Very big in Europe, in Asia, Japan immensely over there. Not so much here in the UK. It runs on a different type of board. The board is a plastic board that's full of holes basically. Right. Plastic point fits in here and just bounces into the board rather than the old bristle boards that we see here.
Okay. Now, all these parts, I understand, massive fans of Citizen machines, is that right?
Yeah, I've worked with Citizen since the mid-90s I think here. Built up a long-term relationship with them. We keep an eye on what other companies are doing, but we always tend to go back to Citizen.
Any particular reason why?
We like the machines. For our industry, they've always been really good, performance-wise, accuracy-wise, and as the times have changed, the machines have developed, got faster, but we just like the rapport that we've built up with them over the years.
And relatively close, so if there are any issues, just give Paul and the team a ring.
Yeah, exactly. They're only 40 minutes away from us. If we do get any issues, they're usually hot on the trail to get out and sort us out.
Now, your latest investment, a whole row of B12s here, but one standing out in the middle. Why have you bought it?
LFV was shown to us by Citizen about 18 months ago. It was the all singing, all dancing. We went over and had a look at it, saw what it could do, and immediately for us we could see massive benefits. We run a lot of aluminium components on that machine, and over the last 10 years aluminium has changed in its makeup, and the lead that you used to come off in small chip form. The aluminium that you get these days comes off far more stringy, which meant that there are components that we were doing on the B12s that we couldn't run for 24 hours. With the LFV we can run that for 24 hours just because of the chip brake system on it.
Okay, so with these parts, you're making the brass parts not an issue, the small aluminium parts not an issue, but the longer shafts essentially, big problems with that swarf.
The longer components are the ones that it's made the biggest difference to us. To say the smaller bits that I've shown you here, we could run those no problems at all. The longer components that obviously creates longer swarf. On the old B12s, swarf build-up was immense. We had to switch them off when we go home, basically.
So previously, how long were you running B12s for?
B12s, at a push we could get 10 hours. But with the new LFV machine, we can run it 12 hours or 24 hours without any problems.
So more than doubling manufacturing them?
Yeah, more than. We got the advantage that we could run it because of the swarf. Also, newer technology, machines run quicker, cycle times came down, so it was a double whammy for us.
Right, so in terms of technology, programs, the tooling, the speed of the machine?
A bit of everything really. I think the software is much quicker, it's easy for the operators to use. Cycle times came down, the tooling moves around the machine at a much faster rate these days than it did on the B12s. So yeah, that's basically the two main areas that we found an advantage of that.
Also, you mentioned cycle times. Roughly, what were they before and what are they now?
The component that's running on the L12 at the moment had a cycle time of about 40 seconds on the old B12s. Well, we've got that down to about 19, 20 seconds now.
So pretty much halving times.
Yeah. So you've got twice as much coming off. So it's yeah, a real benefit to us.
So just looking at this component now, a couple of things. Threading, that's got to be really, really accurate.
Yeah, threading is important because obviously if your shaft doesn't screw into the dart, you're not going to be able to use it. So the two main areas of accuracy on this component is the thread and the width of the slot at the other end for the slide.
So how's that slot? Because that's quite a sort of thin slot there.
Yeah, it's done in 2 hits. It comes through fed. You've got a cross saw that comes through once, rotate, then that comes back out, withdraws. The job turns around 90 degrees and goes through again. And gives you your cross slot.
And also you've got cross holes here, so drilling function on the machine as well.
Yeah, cross drilling on the machine. Yeah.
Now, one thing I'm thinking, surface finish, is that an issue on these components?
It needs to be quite good. This is just the standard one that you can see here, but we do have other finishes that we then do afterwards. So if you haven't got a decent finish, then the surface coatings that you're putting on afterwards aren't going to look very good.
I think darts players can be quite pedantic.
Quite prima donnas, yeah.
Peter, thanks for talking us through. Well, the B12, your latest acquisition, the B12 with LFV and your components. I'm going to get a packet of darts. I'm off to the pub, so thank you very much.